I hate when that happens. Hey, everyone, welcome back to the Six Covered. Appreciate you showing up. And today we have a special guest. We actually have two special guests today. But the first one is Brian from Gulch Gear. How you doing, Brian?
Good. How you doing?
Good. I appreciate you showing up. We should have some fun. It's been a while. The reason I even know Brian is through another good friend of mine, Ryan. And I was talking to him one day, and he's like, "Yeah, a good buddy of mine. He's making some really cool camouflage. I want you to check it out." And I'm like, "Man, that is some pretty cool stuff." So, 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago now, is probably how long I've known Brian. So,
yeah, it's been about 3 years. In fact, I met Ryan, the place where I bear hunt up in Northern California. I solo hunt, and a couple of these guys came flying in, and the camp where I'm at, and usually nobody's there. In 10 days, I might see one or two people, and they had a bunch of gear and stuff. They looked like road hunters, so I packed up and took off, and they came down the trail, and 20 minutes later, I only moved about a half mile down the road, and ended up, they're like, "Hey, we're not scaring you. They just take quads, they go up on the mountain, they hunt hard like I like to do," and built a relationship, kept showing up every single year at the same place, and just became really good friends that way.
Nice. Yeah. I didn't know if you knew him from somebody else or how you guys met, so that's pretty cool.
No.
All right, well, I got a few questions here, and then we'll probably get some questions out in the comment section as well. If you haven't clicked on that, Brian, there's you can hit comments on the top there, and it'll show people.
Yep, I see it. Comments.
All right, so what job did you do before Gulch Gear?
For the last 20 years before I started Gulch, I was a character artist. I made 3D animated characters, and I worked my way out west. Started in '96. I wanted to work for a company called Pixar, and started at Pixar in fall of, actually I started September 11th, 2000. And I worked with them for 12 years. So my background is industrial design. I have a BS degree from Western Michigan, and just was, as a little kid, loved animation. I always wanted to do it. I can't draw, which is, everybody else asked me how I can do what I did. And one of the things is I call myself more of a mimic artist. If you show me something, I could do it in the computer. I could create it in the model and then through the animation stuff. And that's what kind of caught Pixar's eye. And then after that, I wanted to hunt and fish more. I couldn't stand living in the Berkeley area. So I took a job, at Leica up here in Oregon to be able to hunt and fish more. Pixar was the greatest company in the world, and I actually loved working for it, and I hated leaving it. But I worked at Leica for about 2 years. I did 2 films there, and then just decided that I wanted to design camouflage.
It's kind of quite a difference, but not really. I know you skipped a few portions about some awards you won and some of the movies you've been in and best creator stuff, but I don't know if you wanted to bring that up or not. But very talented. I've seen that stuff. I know most people are humble, which is a great quality, but I'll blow it up and put it out there. So
yeah,
you made the old man on Up, right?
Yeah, Carl was my character on Up.
Yeah,
Merida was my character on Brave. I won for each one of those characters. I won a VES award for Best Animated Character in an Animated Feature Film, which is basically your Academy Award for my type of industry. So there's a visual effects Academy Award, and then there's all these behind scenes. And one of them is the Visual Effects Society, and then the other one is the Annie Awards. So I worked on 7, I think, Academy Award-winning films for Best Animated Feature. Every film that I worked on at Pixar was nominated for an Academy Award. But it was such a great share atmosphere and low profile that it's really neat when you get away from it. You realize how special it was, but during the time, it was just you're just having fun. You're making cool stuff.
Yeah, well, the stuff you're making now is really cool. And
Yeah.
there's probably a lot of people out here, and I'll kind of jump out here real quick. And we got X Rings out there, great buddy of mine, John Jeffries, DW, Jerry Parker, Daniel got as my judge. And we have Tim Davis, Doug B, Jerry Parker, and DW. So
Nice.
hopefully I got everybody. There's quite a few that aren't commenting yet, but here is what do you call this one? Because this was your first one, right?
Yeah. So that's my cross cover brown camouflage, and I made a gray version that's really meant for a blue-green environment. The brown is more of a well-rounded multiple environment type camouflage pattern.
The one thing you guys can't see that are watching today is it's very, and I'm sure Brian's going to get into it, but more of a consumer side of it. And I actually have a special guest as well that's been wearing this stuff, hunting with it. I'm not a big hunter, but I have wore this, not a lot, but I do enjoy it. It's very lightweight and thin, and it breathes very well. But the pattern on this thing is amazing. It's like liquid. It's like different drops of color, and it's definitely hard to tell. I have some old videos if you guys are interested, you look at, but this stuff is freaking amazing. And it comes in there's a jacket, a BDU style pant, a face mask, a hat cover. Now you have ball caps, it looks like.
Yep, I do.
And then here's the mask. Do you have your little mannequin dude set up today or no?
No, I've got them around me here. They're not,
Right.
I'm, what's neat about my company is, I'm a true startup, starting the garage. I got a little warehouse in the back that I built, 8x12 that I house my gear in, that I try to keep it climate controlled. And, basically we have a German Shepherd and a Italian Spinone. I'm trying to keep, all my products and whatnot, but it's definitely, a true startup. And I'm, cutting every corner, filling every corner of my house with different stuff. So, that's, to me, how you stay in business nowadays is not take on investors and try to act like a giant company. I'm glad that I'm a small company. When you call my phone, you talk to me. If you have a challenge with anything, I'm there to talk with. I don't have customer service, and I think it's my business philosophy is kind of like how I learned at Pixar, and Steve Jobs was the owner of our company when I was there. And one of the philosophies they had, and it was different than the way he ran Apple, was it is your investment in your employees the most important thing, and the employees first, company second. If you had a daughter, or anybody sick or something you need to take care of, basically you just went off and did your thing. They didn't, hey, you got to write this and log this, you're going to get paid, you're going to, we want to make you happy employee. So I took that idea and ran it so that it's customer first and company second. So my goal is to be treated the way I want to be treated. And everybody knows from customer experiences with many different companies, the bigger you get, especially the faster you get, that's a bigger challenge, because now you're handing off that duty to somebody that's going to be in customer service, and they can get frustrated with a customer that's, challenging. And I look at any customer, what the challenge is, I like fair deals. And, like for my pants, you have to have a warranty on your product by law. So on the website, there's blah, 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 warranty stuff on there. I look at it as, I'm looking for a fair deal. And, it's one of those things where if you think it's fair that you took my pant and it tore on a barbed wire fence, and you believe you truly need, you should deserve a brand new pair, so be it. I'll give you a brand new pair. And that's just, the customer on your side, you always got to think every customer is different, like every personality is different. And I just want to make, people happy. But, it comes, there's people that have reasonable ideas and other people that don't. And, I just look at it as it's something customer first, company second. If you keep that in mind, then, I wanted to be treated the way, the person on the other side of the phone that I'm talking to, because, in e-commerce business, everything's pretty much done over the phone, unless I'm at the Sportsman show where you can come see me here in Portland once a year.
Yeah.
But the camouflage here, that cross cover brown, I basically took what we did at Pixar in storytelling, and what was really neat about the company there was that you got to be involved in all these different reviews. So I was characters, I was the technical director, I modeled the character, I designed and built the controls in the character, and that was handed off to an animation department and multiple different departments: hair, cloth, lighting, sets, layouts. And when you had your review process, I was sitting through multiple reviews of all these different fantastic artists talking about their skill and listening to all that. And one of the most important things that kind of we do in storytelling, especially on film, is you kind of use positive, negative light with, or positive, negative space with the influence of light to help direct your eye around screen without taking you out of that story. Where other people use, big depth of fields or, gags to move stuff or different things. That subtlety not to take you out of that story was so important. I looked at, I want to use positive and negative space with the influence of light to direct and deceive your eye from what you're actually seeing. So, I'm over here, but really, you want to look over here. And that was kind of the idea of what I wanted to do with camouflage. And one of the most important things was I didn't want to follow what other people are doing. A lot of people are always talking about fractals, this, fractal, that, the golden rule. And I didn't want to go, okay, let me think about it the way they're thinking about it. I wanted to think about it the way that we, in storytelling. So I looked at it as like, well, if the golden rule is true, one of the challenges that I see with fractals is they're thinking about the actual branch, so it goes up, splits into 2, those split into 4, those split into 8, 16, 13. So I looked at it as, well, if that's common, that's great. If you got a fractal on you, and there's some great camouflage patterns with some fractals on it. But when you get outside that fractal into a different size fractal, the problem with the eye, the human eye wants to complete things. So if you draw a circle and show it to somebody, they go, it's a circle. If you draw a circle that starts blocked off and it comes around 3/4 and it's blocked off, you show it to somebody and maybe, because their eye wants to go around, but it's stopping. There's a wall there. And I looked at a fractal as that's what happens is an animal sees you and you've got this cool branch that goes up around you and then it hits your shoulder and it just dies. They're going to follow that and go, wait, something stopped there. So I looked at it as, what about the positive and negative space that's left over from fractals? If the golden rule is true, then you actually would have that commonality between different spaces. They'd be different sizes, but a fractal positive negative space was more important to me than looking at the branches that made up the fractal. So that's kind of the idea that I started out with the cross cover brown.
One, and when you look at and I'll put a link to your, let me put it up here right now, in case you guys want to get over there and check it out. But when you look at all your photos that you've done, for basically your Instagram, your Facebook, and all that stuff, it's crazy because you don't need to really be behind cover. In most scenarios, kind of, for the most part. I mean, it definitely helps to break, the shape of the arm or whatever the case is, but the stuff's freaking amazing. I was like, I've never seen camo this cool. I said it 3.5 years ago when I seen the stuff for the first time, and still to this day, I think it's probably the best camo I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I wanted to do when photographing this. When I first started out, I started kind of doing what other companies were doing when they photograph their camouflage. They get a fairly decent amount away, and they put it in an environment that their camouflage matches the best. And I started doing that. And one of the things that I noticed right away was it looked really fake. And it looked like you photoshopped it and you did all these things and stuff in the foreground, and you have you in the midground and you have your background. And it gave a sense of, to me, false. If somebody were to buy it and then they get it would it really perform the way it did? So I started going, you know what? I want to shoot this always within 30 feet. I want to make sure that there's nothing in the foreground that's helping the pattern sell itself. I wanted to show people this is what it looks like in this environment. And I wanted to shoot it in multiple environments that it didn't necessarily match perfect in to see how well it would hold up. Because everybody, you know, when they hunt, they wander through multiple environments during a day, day out hunting. And I just wanted to make sure that, you know, because it's e-commerce and you get it in the mail, you're not let down. You're not going like, well, this works really great if you've got a tree in front of you and you've got this perfect matching background.
Yeah.
And also right in the face. I mean, like, you know, you're basically sitting there and you're looking at it. And I started doing some things on my Instagram page where I started using Adobe program After Effects, which allows me to kind of basically animate a photograph. So I can take a big photo and I can zoom in on it, and I can then use a camera and pull back, so it gives you an idea. So you see in your face what the camouflage looks like, and then you actually, you know, as it pulls back, you start to see how effective the camouflage starts to work. And it's just a nice way to show it because it's you know, it's kind of like what you're going to get. And the neat thing about this camouflage pattern is it does not photograph necessarily that well. And when people get it, one of the first things, you know, they're blown away on the depth of it and just how different it is. And part of the reason why it's so different is I do a completely different printing process than every camouflage company in the industry. They do roll-to-roll printing, which means their repeat is 25 inches. Sometimes you can get, you know, a cylinder that's, I think, up to 31 or maybe 36 inches. My repeat,
Same like thing, just stamp.
yeah, so it's roll-to-roll printing. So they've got, based on how many colors are in your pattern, or maybe they're doing a 4-color process type thing where they're trying to emulate, you know, the sticks and twigs camouflage pattern. They're using dots then, you know. If I want this green as my base color and I want it to be a darker green, I put little dots of black around it. And just like newspaper print or magazine, you know, type print, your eye's gonna blend that when you get away from it. My printing process is direct on the paper. So it's 60 inches wide. And then I'm limited to my gig file that can go in there on my EPS, which is 2 gigs, which allows me for a 90-inch repeat. So every 90 inch it repeats. But my pattern is designed as a 4-way pattern. So I take it and I slide in that 60. So the normal sides that are actually cut off when you do the table lay to cut the clothing, those I shift that and we print that. So that becomes the center. So it actually makes it feel broader. There's 2 advantages of that are just nobody else can do. I can have giant positive and negative space. And the second big one is I can have millions of colors. And they're perfect colors.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you is, I think the last time I talked to you, the military requires it not to be more than like 4 or something you said, but this was way too many colors. Because I'm like, why hasn't the military adopted this? Because it's got to be the best camo they could ever use.
Yeah, I believe usually, I'm not really sure. I don't know what the DoD does, but I think it's like a 25 inch by 25 inch repeating pattern. And then the amount of colors you have in there is just up to how many screens that you have. So every screen that you have, most patterns are around 6 to 8 screens, and some go up to maybe 12. But then there's a limit to the machine that's actually printing that can do how many screens. So I think it's part of a cost thing too for them, since they're going to order so many millions of yards. So having it 4 colors or 5 colors is cheaper than having it 6 or 8 colors.
Oh, okay, so that's the reason. I remember we talked about it. I couldn't remember. It's been so long now, but I was wondering how that worked because I'm like, man, it would be so awesome if our men and women wore something this basically because it works.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about when I showed it to some SWAT teams around here locally, and they loved it, except for the Torre fabric is, you know, like pajama material for them, and they're looking for, you know, more of a heavy duty fabric. One of the downfalls of sublimation printing, that's the type of printing process that I use, is that you need an oil hungry fabric, and that's called polyester. So in order to print this onto a 50-50, you know, nylon, cotton, or cotton polyester, you really need to do roll-to-roll printing. And roll-to-roll printing is much cheaper. So basically it costs me quite a bit to have it printed per yard, where roll-to-roll printing might be 50 to 68 cents per yard, where mine is almost 10 times that cost. But my quality, my repeat, is 10 times better than what they can kick out on their end as far as colors and size of that positive and negative space.
Yeah, the huge ingredient that we forgot about to talk about was everything that Brian makes is made in America.
Oh yeah, I do that too.
A key important thing. One of the things I've never seen in another company ever in my entire life, not that I'm out there searching for it, but it's Brian will give you exactly how much it costs to make item X and how much he makes, and like what is it called? Like
I call it radical transparency.
Yeah, radical transparency. So you don't go in there going, "Oh, this probably costs X amount of money." That everything is on that damn sheet, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I did a little researching on how do you build trust with your customer when they can never touch it and they can call me. My phone number is on my website. People kind of miss that it's under support, but I encourage if anybody has a question or whatnot, always give me a call. I did a little research on something they're doing in Europe, and I follow the business plan. I kind of take the meat out of whatever plan that I see and try to make it work for what I'm doing. And one of the things was people call themselves transparent, and they showed a little bit of stuff, and I looked at it as I tell you what, I'm gonna do it like I'm a public company. I'm going to just show you what everything costs me exactly. I'm going to show you my sources where I got that from. I'm going to show you what I sell it to you for, and I'm going to show you my margin. What more, that's transparency to me. That, when I think of transparent as an artist, transparent is something I can see through. It's not frosted where I can barely see. It's basically, like glass. I can see right through everything that you're telling me. And if you don't believe me, you can always, there's the websites, the information on there. Give me a call. I'll show you my PO. I'll go through the whole thing if you really want to go. Because it's Portlandia type out here. Everyone's like, hey, what kind of chicken is that? It's like, so-and-so. We're a farm. Can we go visit the farm? And we want to see the chicken. And that's what I wanted to show everybody is that I'm transparent. So, and I do the same thing with my marketing. I do not like marketing because marketing in the industry, to me, they tell you half the facts to get the sale, and then they can't back it up with their customer service necessarily after the sale. I wanted to say, hey, when somebody asked me about a knit Polartec shirt that I've got, how well does that hold up at Prickers? I'm like, you'll destroy it. And they're like, really? I'm like, well, yeah, you're sacrificing comfort and dead quietness for strength.
Well, that's the one thing about this. And my special guest, he actually uses it a lot for hunting. But there is one question before we bring him in here, and I don't even know how to say this. So you can see it on the screen, I hope.
I've kind of got you off centered. I can. What is it?
It says, you ever try the plastic fabrics like, I don't even know what fabric that is. UHM, WPE?
I have not. I do not know what that is. Is that a US based fabric? Is it polyester?
It's plastic fabrics.
Plastic, yeah. Polyester, I try to explain to people about the fabric, and then I just break it down to really simple terms. It's plastic. You're wearing a plastic shirt, and people kind of look at it as like, well, it's a lot different than the plastic shirts that were, when I grew up in the 70s and whatnot, were like compared to the technologies they have for them now, and the moisture wicking and all that good stuff. I love the feel of a great cotton shirt. I'm wearing a cotton shirt right now. I just love the feel of them.
This stuff is comfortable, lightweight, and lets the breeze through. It is freaking phenomenal. Now, if you're hunting, I'll let the hunter talk about it. So without further ado, we're actually going to surprise you, Brian, and add someone that won actually a set of that stuff from a giveaway that we did. And here he is, Mr. Daniel, God is my judge himself. But
cool.
Howdy.
Hey, Daniel.
Hey, Rick. Hi, Brian. Thanks for having me on tonight. And thanks for the opportunity of letting me win this gear.
Right on.
All right.
Tell us what you think about the gear, pluses, minuses. Oh shit, a whole list full of stuff.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. First of all, everybody, I did buy the jacket myself, but I won the pants, the T-shirt, and I think the boonie hat also.
Yep.
But I went and got the jacket to complete the whole thing, and I've been using it here for deer season for the last 2 years. Now, when I first got it, okay, yeah, I'm kind of nervous about using it because this is something new product, and I run trail cameras from the spring all the way out there, and I had some booners on my cameras. So I'm like itching. Do I really want to try this when I'm out there looking for these big monster racks? I'm not a trophy hunter, but at first I fill the freezer with the meat. But you know what? If you had a big booner buck come out, are you going to turn him down? It's something you just out there getting the blood pumping. So I made a review on it, and don't subscribe me, but there's a video playlist for Gulch Gear on my channel, and I have a review that shows uh, the gear out in the woods during different times of the day, the morning, the afternoon, and evening, from 5 yards out to 20 yards. And one of these scenes is where I'm actually shooting arrows at the camera while I'm in the woods, and you have a certain amount of time to find me out there. And the whole time in all these scenes, I am standing completely in the open in the woods. I'm just not moving at these various positions. So you
I
can
remember that video. That was a cool video.
just
That's a cool idea.
yeah. So you can just make up your own mind from there.
So
Go
the
ahead.
fabric for being a bow hunter and being like a quiet fabric, how's that work out for you?
The only thing you get quieter is maybe fleece, but I've never owned fleece. But I have not been busted wearing this caused by. I'm going to hold this right up to the mic, like
Yeah,
that. Can you hear anything or just like reverb?
yeah.
I hear it. So as long as you're exceptionally, just be careful. You're not going to spook them off. I mean, I've have other camouflage gear you buy off the rack at those other places that make a whole lot more noise. Now, as far as the consumer side of it, the color retention on this after 2 years of use of hunting. I mean, okay, we got the manufacturer here. How's that look? I'm colorblind to pastels.
It's difficult to see. I'm looking at 2 inch by inch and a half or two thing screen, but
There's
one thing we show people
Yeah.
at the Sportsman Show we do here in Portland, which is about 65,000 people that come through it, is we show our apparel that's been used and abused for 3-4 seasons.
Yeah.
And we take that pant that's been washed over 60, 70 times, which apparel has life to it. And the more you wash it, the more damage you do to it, especially if you dry it. And we compare that right to the brand new, on a mannequin. And people are always impressed by it. And that's part of the sublimation process. It is molecularly bonded to on the fiber. And so it doesn't fade as quick as like on cotton where it lives on top of it, or nylon where it lives on top of it or around that fiber.
Yeah.
Does it have scent?
Time.
LZ, she asked a question. No, this stuff doesn't have, well, everything in the world is going to have some kind of scent, but it does not smell like plastic or anything that you're buying out of the store. I use strictly the hunting clothes wash, non-UV type stuff. If you use regular soap, it's going to ruin anything and everything. So use your non-UV laundry soap. Now, I think from what I've seen, from what I see, this stuff right here, this has been washed probably between 40 to 50 times in 2 years. It's holding up the color and durability. I don't go tromping right through the multiflower rose bushes.
Yeah,
I
those
mean,
stuff in Michigan too. They eat everything.
I've been snagged by them, but this right here. Let's see if I can get it in there. You see that one little Irish pennant right there?
Yeah.
That little right there.
Okay.
There's a couple of these on the bottom of the legs. That's it after 2 years of hunting. And when I'm hunting, I'm trying to be nice and quiet. So the durability, is it, when I was in the military, they had this, the parachutes are made out of ripstop nylon.
Yep.
Is it the same type of weave, ripstop?
No, it's not a ripstop. It looks like ripstop. It's the weave in there that is allowing to put that little tiny hole in it so that air can pass through. That's why it's called dot air, the weave of it. So it's also a mechanical stretch. So there's no lycra in it. So it's lighter and it dries, much faster than if it would have lycra in it. But it's it looks like ripstop. The actual shirt that you have too from Polartec there is called a ripstop, but it is not a true ripstop. That's a weave, and it's a certain weave in the fabric to stop a run when it starts.
Well, it acts like ripstop because it's not allowing it to make a hole or keep going out. It just pulled that, like when it got hooked, it would just pull that individual thread out.
Yeah.
It would stop right there. If there's burrs on it, I just be able to just take my hand and just rub them off like that.
Yeah, one of the comments I get from people that hunt in California with a lot of sticker type things, you got a pair of cotton type pants and they really are aggressive on there and they're really challenging to get off. You get a comb and you really work at them. Where with this, does it pick them up? Sure, it does. But when they come off, they come off easier.
Yeah, you just take your hand and just wipe them off like that and they come right off. So does this stuff work? This year, I stalked. I did a 100-yard stalk to a 16-point buck, and the last 60 yards, I was in grass. While this was within 20 yards inside the woods, and I'm in full view of 3 deer, and one of them is a 16-point that I'm trying to get to. I got all the way through the grass to the edge of the woods, and the doe that was about 4 feet from me, she finally got nervous and stood up. And they still didn't run off. The 2 does stood up, the buck stood up. He was at 30 yards, and the only reason I didn't get a shot off, it was cold, and my body just froze. I couldn't get the bow all the way back. It just locked up, and it's like right there, okay, game's up. I'm not gonna risk a shot, to try to grunt and groan. Hopefully he'll be back, but he's still
that one in the ass.
Huh?
You could have smacked that one in the ass.
No, I'm not going to try that. Those things can put a hoof into you and give you a bad day. Well, the first year that I used, there's that. The first year hunting using this gear. This isn't the big monster that I was after because the neighbor girl shot it, but this is a 15-point. It would have been a 17-point, but 2 points are broke off. It's 155 inches.
Wow.
And this year, after I got my doe and I went out there, I shot a management buck, a nice, really mature 9-point. I have hunting videos up. It don't show the kill shot, but you will see multiple deer surrounding me. At one time, there was like 12 deer at a 360 all the way around me, and you can see turkeys running around there too at the same time. So I think it works. You manage good scent control, and you put this on. They're not seeing you.
Yeah,
I'm happy with it. So I'm just wondering what kind of new stuff you're coming out with this year.
it is impressive. We do have a question. I know that this stuff is not waterproof, but maybe some of the other stuff you make. Did you make anything that's semi-waterproof?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I kind of made a decision that waterproofing is, if you make a mistake, you go out of business very quick. It's a big investment. I'm funding this company without any investors. I don't want to lose creative control or make decisions or grow the way I want to grow. And my growth is growing organic. Waterproofing is something that I do have a good contact over in Tennessee that's been bonding for 35 years. He's really, he used to bond for a lot of the big companies before everybody took their model over to Asia and started having it done there. But I've learned a lot of great knowledge. I'd like to try to get some stuff going. I'm now stepping in, instead of waterproof, I'm stepping into more of cooler weather type stuff. But one of the things that's really neat about like that, I call it a shell, that Tory Dot Air with the little dots in it, let that breeze come through. I just throw that over my rain jacket.
I was going to say that. That's what I've adapted. I'm just putting the rain gear underneath, putting
Yep.
this because it's got good stretch, and it doesn't really make hardly any noise at all. But you put a rain gear on, you're going to increase it. But that's just the facts of life.
Yeah, it does happen that.
Yeah, I put my insulated stuff underneath, and it's got enough stretch. I pull it over the insulated clothing.
Well, it's one of the things Brian and I talked about probably, I don't know, 3.5 years ago was, where he hunts down in California during the warmer parts of the year, you can basically wear that as just a pant, and you can actually feel wind change in it. You kind of know which direction the wind has changed because of its breathability, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's, usually when you've got a lot of stuff on that, it's kind of weather resistant and whatnot. It's meant to block, kind of the wind elements and whatnot. This lets it come through. So most of the time you're hunting with your hands or your face to get that feel of that wind change. This, you can actually, the Dot Air allows that, you can feel that slight breeze coming into you and you can say, whoa, the wind just changed. It's coming from a different direction. So, everything's got its kind of advantages and disadvantages, but I layer underneath it. I'll wear it over a pair of jeans. I'll wear it over a pair of jeans and a pair of sweatpants underneath it. To hunt in cold weather, I'll put my 850 LL Bean, down jacket underneath it and hunt in, 20-degree weather in Michigan. And as long as it's not pouring down rain on me, I'm pretty comfortable. And when it is raining out here, I will throw that over. I've got a really nice Schuler fabric from Triple Out Design, which is another American-made company out of San Francisco. And I didn't want to walk around as a geek in camouflage, even though I love camouflage. In Oregon here, it rains a little bit more than when I lived down in California. So I use that, and I just throw this over the top of it, and it serves its purpose. I'm not hunting Alaska where, I'm living in it for 14 days, where the downfall of putting a jacket like this, a shell, a Tory Dot over it, is that, you do wet out a little quicker. So, you do end up trapping that breathability, so you can wet out underneath a lot quicker.
So Levi Cummings had just looked through the website, and he's in Arizona.
Okay.
I don't know exactly which part of Arizona. I know some parts of Arizona, like up in the mountains, have a lot of trees and stuff, and then down in the basin, it's a lot of dirt. But he's wondering what's suggestion for southern Arizona. It's probably this one, isn't it? No, you made that.
And the new pattern that we just came out with this year, the Axial Pattern. I just sent it to a guy. I sent 3 swatches to a guy in Idaho, and the brown, the gray, and the Axial. And he settled with the Axial. He said he couldn't believe it. It worked well in the winter. It worked well in the fall. It's working well in the spring. He was just, he tested it over 4 months there. So it depends on what your environment is. If your environment is, the Axial was kind of derived from some guides that were asking about, hey, your brown can feel a little bright when we're in old growth timber. And, that's the downfall of a big positive negative space. When you get into really dark timber or really dark environments, you feel like you're glowing. Believe it or not, as your buddy standing 40 yards away from me, you're really not that glowing. It just feels like it because it's all about light. Light's hitting you, it's bouncing off, it's bouncing up in your eyes, and you're seeing that. The dark timber, some of the spots that we've hunted in Oregon here, it's amazing. It's a sunny, bright day, it's noon, you can use a flashlight in there. So people were saying I wanted something a little bit darker. So if you do have a little bit more of a green environment, it is a little bit more darker. Axial works great, but the Axial seems to be like the CC Brown. It really just is a well-rounded pattern, and that Axial pattern was basically derived with the exact same positive negative space, except for a little bit on a smaller scale, so that you can have a little bit more movement. The brown, you can be 200 yards away from the brown and you're blobbed out. You actually break it up. And I show on my Instagram one of the shots there of my buddy that's about 200 yards away on a pull out on it. You can still see that there is positive negative space in it. The Axial will probably bleed out within 100 yards or so. You'll start to blob out. But the blobbing is different than when you typically think of a some of these camos that blob out, it because of the way the positive negative space in it, it still has different shades of tones of that darkness, but it's kind of designed more for, you know, an intense environment where you're not, you know, 200-300 yards away. But since most people are bow hunting and stuff like that, you know, that doesn't bother them, that it has a little bit of challenge at distances with it.
All right. So it sounds like we're talking 3 colors now since the last time I talked to you.
Yeah.
So I got a question. Last thing was baseball caps. You're wearing one now, so those came into effect. You got gloves. Are you doing gloves?
Not yet. I'm still, the holy grail is to find, you know, a glove manufacturer in the United States that can make a decent technical glove. And, you know, I've had good leads. People have, you know, I anybody that can share a lead, you know, somebody in the United States that makes a technical apparel type glove. The United States seems to be making more of the leather-based stuff. Literally, the entire glove went over to Vietnam, makes really good gloves now. And, you know, and I always talk about the Asian pipeline and things like that. It's not that their sewing is great. You know, they're on computerized machines. The people that are doing it are great sewers and stuff. The type of living and things they have, I wouldn't want to necessarily do that type of job. But it's the company that's using them is kind of saying, hey, what is the cheapest fabric and the cheapest thread and the cheapest components and things to put on there? And that's usually what's failing on you. It's not the quality of the sewing. But Vietnam's got great sewing going on right now there. And I just refuse to go overseas. I'm either all American or I'm just going to Asian pipe. And gloves are a challenge. You know, I found some factories, I've had some samples made. What you guys see on the website and in the photos of me or whoever I'm shooting at the time are some prototypes that I've made, and those are things that I'm trying to have found. But what I've kind of found is I can have a great glove made for $29. But when you look at it on your side, it's exactly what I would think. I would get 3 of these gloves for $1.99 at Walmart. It's just not what you think of as these new technical gloves. Yeah, I had a guy at the Sportsman Show here come up, and he had a whole outfit, and he bought it the year before, and he was really excited about maybe getting some gloves. And I really haven't found him yet. I said, hey, there's another camouflage company down, you know, 5 aisles down. The gloves they make are really nice. They've got so many different kinds of gloves, and they're really cool. I'm a glove geek, and I love, you know, a really nice form-fitting glove. But I can't provide that. They have a camouflage pattern that probably if you wore that glove with mine at 10 yards away, it would work just well. You wouldn't, you know, it helped just as much. But I'm not going to tell somebody, is one of the things that I learned from the mistakes of watching another guy form a camouflage company that's very successful now, is he made promises to people and then he couldn't really keep those promises. Where I look at it as, you know, I'm trying as hard as I can to get some gloves. I'm trying to find an American manufacturer. When you start out in a whole new business, I found some really great contacts. And, you know, being right next to some big shoe manufacturers right down the street from me here, I've got contacts with them, not them, but people who source for them that are, you know, private contractors. And everything's gone overseas, and it's frustrating. But I look at it as, you know, my business model is to make America better and make our economy grow. And I'm not putting a dime into other countries that are our enemies. You know, I invest in Toray. Toray's a great company. And that's another thing that I try to tell people is you won't hear BS marketing out of me that's saying we use the world's best. You'll never see the best. We use great companies that have great reputation and great products. It's up for you as a customer to decide if they're the best company in the world or the best material in the world. I will never put those words, you know, I'm trying not to, you know, make marketing I do not like. It's kind of, it's just something I like being open and honest. And if you ask me a question, I'm going to honestly answer. That's just the way I like things. And that's the same with my apparel is, you know, if you ask a question about it, I'll answer you, you know, as best as I can from what I know about the fabric. But I love negative feedbacks, and you know, people that, you know, I get a lot of hard negative ones like, oh, your prices are so ridiculous, blah blah blah, and all this fun stuff. And I love that feedback. That's great. But if those prices are too high for you, look at my business model. Tell me how you can help me so I can bring that down, so I can make that more fair, affordable for you. So I'm always trying to find those type of sources and whatnot. And gloves, I'm working on it just like everybody with rain gear. I'm trying, but I want to do it right and try to do it right the first time with making my mistakes quick and fast, and not like some other companies that want to pass that mistake on to the consumer. I want to be able to absorb that mistake and then try to improve from it based on customer feedback and failures.
I want a ghillie hood.
A what?
I want a ghillie hood.
I just had a SWAT guy
No, I'm serious. I really want one.
want to do a design for that type of thing, and one of the challenges is it's kind of outside of what, like, my little business model. My model was simple. I wanted a hat, a face mask, a shirt, a jacket, and a pant. I wanted a glove, and I wanted to sell those, and I wanted to improve everything based on the feedback coming from the customer. And I didn't want to make things that have to sit on my shelf or inventory that's not moving. And then like these other companies where you buy this expensive equipment in the fall, and now they've got it discounted for 50 to 70% off in the spring because they're trying to build what didn't sell, and they want to go. Yeah, that face mask, actually, the design of that, that's something that is a good question.
This, I want a ghillie.
Well, here's what you do. Buy a bunch of the jackets or pants, okay? You cut them up into strips, and then you get a needle and thread, and you sew them around. That's how the professionals do it.
Yes.
Well, sew some back to back. Take your T-shirt, sew it together,
You're out of money.
and then just sew it all around your head and have it flopping out there.
Yeah, what you're asking is possible to do. You can double sublimate on it. The only challenge with it, it's double the price for the printing. But one thing that I cringe about, learning about apparel is, like, I've been a hoarder, not necessarily a hoarder. I don't like throwing things away. I like buying things that are going to last, as long as possible. And one of the things when you do a marker lay and you lay out, $20,000 worth of fabric out onto the table, and you start cutting it up, 25 to 30% of that is turned around and thrown in the trash.
I know.
And
I was like, we got to.
At first, I was just boxing it and filling my house with it. Now I've just accepted it goes in the garbage. We try to make our marker lay better, but one of the things we try to do is we try to make the camouflage solid on you, and we're not, you can look at a marker lay, and a marker is basically your pattern piece is laid out onto a flat table, and you cut that out, and those are what you sew together, and then the space that's in between them is thrown away. We don't design our marker layouts necessarily for maximum yield. So we design it so that the whole front of you right here is solid camouflage with a matching through the zipper. If we were to cut it across the chest, like a lot of different jackets that you see and whatnot, we could get a better cookie, I call it Tetris, layout, where we could save 4 or 5% of that waste being thrown away. But I don't like when you're using big positive and negative space. When you have that positive space running through a negative space and it's 9 inches long, you see that line, and that's that line that I talked about in the beginning about a fractal. That line can give you a way where your eye really wants to go around and kind of follow a positive or negative and complete that circle.
Yeah, I mean, for the folks to understand what he just said there, okay, I just fixed that review, but it shows where I'm walking through light and shade, where the light is on one part of my body where the sunshine's coming through, and my legs it just transfers down into like dark. You can tell something's moving, but every time I stop, I'm gone.
Yeah.
That's how it is, because I mean, it just plays the light where the light's directly. It blends in with the light behind it, and with the it just everything, all different areas. So,
yeah, one of the things I tell people is, you don't need camouflage to kill something. If you got the wind right and you don't move, you can pretty much, I think, take most animals that aren't used to hard pressure. What I look at camouflage is fantastic when it really works is you're sitting here and you've been staring this long, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So you look over here and there is a elk, a deer, or something standing at 40 yards looking right at you that just caught your movement. And now you're completely in a stare down with them. So they're going to do the head duck, looking down and coming up, and you try to figure out what you are. Good silhouette breakup is how fast the animal will settle down, where it wants to flee or it wants to continue with caution. But I think that's where camouflage is, really worth its money for good camouflage. And bigger and positive negative spaces, you're right. You can move where it can get picked up a little bit more. Most people are sports talking are just casually walking or slowly moving, so it's not as drastic.
I muted my mic. I mean, I was trying to. They're saying there's a little bit of echo. I was wondering if it was Brian or not.
Yeah, I just started hearing that echo now too.
You might have where you're listening to me talk. That might be up here too loud. I don't know how it is. It might be picking it up twice. Does that make sense?
It does. It seemed like it would have been in the beginning when we first started. It just seemed like it just happened.
Yeah. Just a minute or two ago.
So you should just turn my volume down so that happens.
See, I can't hear you because of the echo. Say that one more time. Yeah, I'm just saying maybe turn that down where you're hearing us. Oh, I'm echoing. Let me turn mine down too. Does it work? Is it better? Of course, now no one can hear each other talk, so we don't know what the hell's going on.
That's what's funny about being in the computer industry, as an artist for 25 years or so, is everybody assumed that I knew computers. It's like, I'm not a computer person. I was a software application user. So I used animation software, Photoshop, Illustrator, Adobe products, but I couldn't tell how to, like setting up my mail for this Apple. It was frustrating to try to finally figure it out with a few videos I finally did. Are you still getting the echo? Can you hear me? I can't hear. Hold on.
Rick, your mic is muted.
Can you hear me now?
My mic is muted, yes. Dang, Rick. This is the first time I've ever been live. Okay, that's just kidding.
You never go live anymore. What's up with that?
I don't know.
I think maybe when I shut up, I'm going to stop and I'm going to mute my mic, because when I mute my mic, you guys sound good. When I'm on live and you guys are talking, that's when the echo's happening.
Okay.
Daniel, I don't hear any echo from you at all. I just hear it coming from Rick. I think it's an East Coast thing.
Could be. It could be. Conservative Sniper saying no echoing, but we haven't really been talking much. And they say, Brian, you're good now. So that's good. I think we're in there. Whatever. All fun and games till somebody echoes, right? So what else is going on? So you got this 3 new different sets, basically head to toe, right?
Yes, I have the new Axial Pattern that we released this year, and then I had 4 productions planned for this summer. A new vest, another jacket run with the same jacket like you have, Daniel. Do a little slight design change to it. I have a zip-up hoodie that I want to do with Wind Pro from Polartec, and then I've got a new pant that has knee pads that's made with a company called Tweave. They're in New York. It's Berry compliant, and it was designed for the NFL. They're making the jerseys. They use the jerseys and stuff out of it. And what What's neat about that was it's a tough fabric and it's a breathable fabric. But I took it and I built a prototype pan out of it. I went out to on the west side here of the state, where it's just massive thorns and whatnot, and put that pan on over another pair of military pants or a pair of jeans, and walk through this. Basically, what you're basically looking at a multiplier patch, and you're going to go through 400 yards of that, and it's 8 feet tall, and you're up to your chest, and every direction you turn is the wrong direction. And I did that test with it, and I was really surprised how well it held up. I took a competitor's pan, I put it on, and I went about 20 yards, and I stopped because I wrecked the pant. And it wasn't because that pant was a bad pant or the material, it just really wasn't even designed for that. So I couldn't even compare. I was kind of frustrated that I wrecked the pant because it was a solid color pant. As a manufacturer, I like, other people's apparel. I'm not, I'm just looking for that feedback from that pant, and it was the wrong pant to do, and I wish I didn't destroy it. But the tweed fabric's really, really neat. It breathes well, and it's tough, but it has some downsides. It's a little louder. You're going with a tighter weave, so you're sacrificing sound for strength. And then it's built with, I think, 8% Lycra in it, so that it has a four-way stretch, a very nice two-way, and a smaller on the four-way. But I'm also making it so that it has knee pad inserts in it. That's going to use a D30 knee pad that I met, believe it or not, the guy that is a distributor out here for one of the sales reps, used to be my sales rep for Polar Tech. And I saw him at a fabric shop here in Portland last fall. And these are very compliant pads made in America. And they can use them for the military and whatnot. And I just thought it'd be neat to have, everyone else down in California wanted pants with knee pads in it. The problem is knee pads are hot. They're, people love them, they hate them and whatnot. So I'm going to come out with that. But the one that I'm really excited about that's actually in production and should be done at the end of the next week or two is the vest. And that's using the same Toray.air on the outside. And it's using a Polartec Alpha Direct on the inside. Their heaviest weight at, I think, 189 grams. That was designed for the special forces so they can come right out of the water and walk it dry. And the combination of the two makes the most breathable vest on the market, the fastest drying, and it allows you to layer a rain shell over it, where normal vest designs out there are kind of wind resistant, weather resistant, so they breathe well by themselves. But as soon as you throw a shell over the top of it, you're doubling up that breathability. You're cutting it again. So you kind of wet out on this. So you end up taking your shell off, taking the vest off, throwing that in your pack, putting your shell on, hiking until you start glassing again. And then you get cold. You want to put that vest back on. It's got a little bit of dampness to it now, and it doesn't hold the heat as well. This is really neat. It works well in 35, 40 degree weather with a t-shirt on. You feel the heat on there. You go to move, it dumps that heat. You stop, it starts to retain that heat. And in a higher wind, can the wind blow through there and kick that heat out too much? Most definitely. But usually when it starts to get that kind of windy, you're putting a shell on, or you're putting that vest over or under, another little thermal hoodie or something, another part of the layering system. That one is got some unique design things. I'm not using zippers on it except for to zip it up. I'm using big overlapping pockets. So it's going to have one chest pocket. That chest pocket goes and overlaps with your hand pocket. And that's a very high pocket too. So they're deep pockets. And those allow you to put stuff into it and not have that sound factor of, a zipper or something that you actually could scrape against. And even though it's not much sound, when your watch or something scrapes across, that zipper, that might be just that time where that animal hears that, like you're talking on a stalk, and you're busted.
All right, I got two questions for you. Someone earlier, and I forgot to bring it up. Do you have anything? And I know the answer, but I'll let you answer. Do you have anything with some? I think it's a deer hunter that has the orange in it. Where you got to have a certain amount of orange in certain states or whatever it is.
So they basically like a camouflage. Part of the camouflage pattern there is orange. In Michigan, I think the rule is basically got to have some orange on you. That could be a hat. That could be just one glove. Most states are kind of 50% of your body. Um, in some states, that 50% can't be a camouflage combo of, fluorescent orange in with camouflage pattern. I've had a lot of people ask about it. It's something that could be easily done with this because I have complete control of the pattern to be able to immediately change it, walk over to my printer, and try a test with it tomorrow if I wanted to, and then make a short run of it. I just look at it as,
Wear something orange.
well, no, it'd be nice to have, but when I do small runs, and my runs are 250 at a time, so I'll do 250 jackets, 250 pants, and then you go in there with three colors, let's say, the gray, the brown, and the Axial. Then you break those up to 7 sizes. So they're kind of doing 12 units in one color and keeping track of the sizes, and there's different colored threads, different colored zippers. It puts a lot of pressure on the manufacturer. I don't want to be a pain in the ass client for them. Now, when I get up to doing, 2,000 units, where I'm doing that same SKU, I'd be like, hey, can you throw in and do, because I'm building these relationships with these local factories that I'm using, and can I do 150 units in this different kind of idea where some people have been requesting to have some fluorescent orange woven, not woven, printed in with it so that they could use it part of their hunting. I think that would be, a really funner thing to do. The bigger I get, the more that my quantities go up. So it's not off the table. It's just something that, it's a great idea, and I love these ideas, and I write them down, and I'm logging what consumer, is telling me.
And then the next question says, your products look amazing. How is the thermal conductivity working? Would you/I feel comfortable in 50-degree Fahrenheit and lower? Are your products thought of as being the outer shell? And I would assume we kind of talked about it earlier, outer shell, correct?
Yeah, the jacket, the Tory Air. So the Inceptor jacket is basically, I looked at it when I designed it as I wanted the KISS rule and just keeping it really simple. It's a little bit kind of like a shell. It allows you to layer underneath it. It depends on your ergonomics of your body too. So if you wear a large, like for me, I can put an 8-fill down puppy underneath it, and I still can shoot my bow. If somebody that's on that upper large, but an extra large kicks them in too big and they don't like that bulkiness, they might not be able to have that advantage. But I believe that you can think about it as more like a shell. This shirt, the Polartec shirt, those are lightweight shirts at 50 degrees. I'm cold probably in it, but other people that I hunt with, depends on how you're active or whatnot, they might not be, depends on the wind. But yeah, the idea is it's kind of it's a shell you can layer underneath. And I always tell people when they ask about the Polartec, the lightweight shirt and this and that, and I hunt in, anywhere from 30 to 90 degrees. And when I hunt in California at 90 degrees, I tell people I'm hot. Even wearing my shirt, it's hot, 90 degrees, 95 degrees, the humidity. It does help moisture wicking, and it does pull that away, and it does do that cooling that it's really designed for. But I always like to complain I'm hot or I'm cold. But yeah, kind of like a shell.
Do you do special orders for large sizes for bigger boys?
Not yet, and that's something that I've been kind of exploring with how to kind of do a pipeline like that. And one of the challenges is when you have a pattern you design, like the jacket, it's a large. I can go up 2 grades, so I can go large, extra large, 2X. I can go down medium, small, and within those 5 sizes, that pattern's working well as far as the sewing pattern. Then when you start to get 3X, 4X, 5X, what you really need to do is that pattern grade starts to skew, and that's why you'll see some people that I love the way it fits in my chest, and I love the way it fits in my torso. But why do they think my arms are 36 inches in diameter? Because they're just using that same pattern and they're grading it past its life. And what you really need is to go up and you go, you know what, I need a 3X. I can go 3X, 2X, extra large. I can go 5X, 6X. And you live in there and you have that pattern design specifically for that body type. And that's some steps that I've been exploring and talking to my pattern maker about and my grader. But it is just the fact that I don't sell enough of them that I could justify to actually start making them. And I'd love to be able to do that. It's just, it's part of a cost process right now on growing.
We got some new people that showed up, but So this stretch, what do you call it, a 2 and a 4 or something?
That kind of stretch,
Yeah.
that's a two-way mechanical stretch. In other words, the fiber it's a spiral fiber, and when you pull on it, it stretches. So there's no lycra in there to make it. So that makes it dry quicker. It also lycra decays and dies quicker. You know what I mean? So I don't know if you ever had a pair of old boxer shorts that you love or your favorites or whatever, and the lycra doesn't work anymore on it. It's kind of decayed and lost its life. It's the physical properties of that molecular structure broken down. What mechanical stretch is an actual fiber that's just spun, so it's got a spring type in it, and that's memory. That's memory spring. It's not an actual, still the same exact 100% polyester. So it actually will live longer on rebounding back and forth.
I had a buddy that's out here in Australia, conservative sniper hunter, and he was asking, "Do you guys ship overseas?"
I don't yet, and I'd really like to. I think it's something that would be nice to implement. One of the challenges of American copyrights and patents and all that fun stuff that you can protect yourself with in America, my fear is I send it over to overseas.
Oh,
Somebody just copies it, and what am I going to do? I'm a smaller company. I can't really defend myself. I do have an intellectual property lawyer. I do keep up on.
We're gonna go kangaroo ass kicking is what we're gonna do.
What?
We're gonna go kangaroo ass kicking.
Oh yeah. No, I want to offer that, and I've been telling people I'm trying to look at that part of the business model and see what I can offer in the future. And as far as getting stuff out in customs and how to handle that with my e-commerce provider, which I use Shopify as my platform. It's just one of those, I'm a one-man show, and I'm really trying to juggle all these balls, and hopefully in the next year or so, I will be able to offer some sort of shipping to allied countries, I guess you call it. I don't want to ship to China. I don't want to ship to Russia. I don't, those people that hunt over there and fish over there, I don't want to judge them by their flag, but I just want to, try to start out smaller by going to countries that, at least respect their laws a little better.
Yeah, ones that aren't well known for stealing everybody's shit and remaking.
Yeah, I guess, you could say that. Say that, Anybody that's me that's hunting and helps our, our entire industry and whatnot is, I think it's a good thing. I don't necessarily agree with some of the hunting they do in different countries, but they have their own styles and methods.
Yeah, for sure. Daniel, you got any questions? I know you're sitting there biting the bullet.
No, I'm just sitting here reading the comments. I'm trying to behave myself,
You're doing really well, and I do have to appreciate that because normally you're just an ass.
Yeah.
So you're doing well. You're doing. You know what? You get 10 extra points for being so nice.
Well, thanks for having me on here, Brian. I do love this gear. One of the questions here was about like crotch flexibility. I've never noticed that, so there's no problem with it. The flexibility of wearing it, when you're going up in a climber or in a climber stand or just walking up in a ladder stand, it doesn't bunch. This stuff has good flexibility to it. So
something to think about too is whatever size you are, you kind of want the next size up so you can wear pants under it. You can wear some type of rain gear or whatever you need to. Remember, you use it as an outer. Unless you're hunting in the summer in Arizona, you can basically wear underwear and those pants, and you're good to go.
Yeah. Well, one of the challenges when I first started out was I wanted to make a pant. It was not like everybody. Everybody was going to this what they call athletic cut. You talk to anybody that's in the suit industry and you say that, they'll kind of chuckle and it's like, oh, you mean a slim fit? It's basically a smaller percentile of us humans that have this more of a tapered figure, athletic type body. So we needed to be able to sell slim fit to you. So we're going to rebrand it. We're going to call it athletic cut. Now it sounds cool and masculine. But for a lot of people that don't like that tightness on their wrist and tightness on their body and whatnot, I want to do, old fashioned BDUs, 3-inch grade. In other words, a medium covers 33 34 and 35-inch waist, and you have 1-inch ladder locks on the side. They're baggier. They break up your silhouette a little bit more. The entire fashion industry has kind of gone to this slim fit. So it works for some people. The baggy fit doesn't work for some people, and they hate it. They love that. They just got a custom to
Pockets.
slimmer stuff. So my newer pants that I've got coming out, I'm kind of getting away from the 3-inch grade, and I'm going to the 2-inch grade, which is a typical pant. A 34 pant is basically 35 inches in circumference. It covers a 34 and a 35-inch waist. And then you might have to bump up depending on your the way you carry your body proportions. But it's not as baggy. I still made them looser fit, so they're not. I do think that I like that silhouette breakup. It's different. And it's kind of like, that's what's challenging about marketing and, cracks me up. It's like, we try to get, we're trying to sell tights to you. And you like spandex and your tights. If I start talking about that, you as a guy are kind of going to be like, I would never wear tights. So, all right. So how do I sell that tights to you? I want you to wear tights like women. Let me rebrand that. I'm going to call this something cool. I'm going to call it compression wear. Now it sounds masculine. Now I've got you buying tights. But
the compression wear.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know, I put the pants on a scale. I got it all rolled up. I can show you. 14.2 ounces. Can you guys see that? Can you see that?
Yep.
Oops. It's freaking crazy.
Yeah, they're the new 2-inch grade ones are even lighter because it shed a few components on there.
Yeah, those are 3.5 years old or whatever.
Yeah.
I got the old stuff.
Well, I've got the mediums, the large, and the extra large in the 3-inch grade. And I'm trying to slowly phase one and phase one out as far as the quality and the sew and the camouflage and everything. It's just a different kind of fit. I'm going to my manufacturer and I'm trying to get, I don't want to do what other people do. I don't want to do fire sales. There's nothing more frustrating than buying, especially, this type of pant. I sell most of my, they're $170 pant. I sell most of them at 20% off. So that brings it down to $136. There's nothing worse than you buying that in October to hunt in, and then all of a sudden you see it for Christmas or sale or in the springtime on sale for $39.99 like these other factories can do. It's like you can get a pant made over in China for $13 for the sewing. And I turn around and
they're getting paid 50 cents a day or some shit, and poor kid's only 3 years old.
Yeah, I don't know what they get paid or what they do, but I know that a lot of these camouflage companies that are using the Asian business model are actually using, responsible manufacturing over there. Kind of like the way the world's kind of going with that. But still, their type of sewing is, for mine, 1 or 2 people might be sewing a pant, so they're working multiple stations, and they have a real talent and skill for that. Where when you work in a giant factory, it reminded me in college when I was making wheels for shopping carts. That big old spin with machine would come around and pop up. I'd whip out 12 wheels. I'd whip 12 centers in there, and I'd hit the buttons, and 16 seconds later, another one come up. And that's all I did all day long. Same with sewing over there. You got really nice, great computerized sewing. I take this pattern piece, I stick it on here, a big thing clamps down on it, and a guy comes around it and sews all the way around it, and then I pop that open, I throw that down. My one station that I do my life. That's all I do on my one station. So it's
what's the difference between boot cut? Because I know a lot of people wear boots, like Western boots.
I don't really know, but I think the boot cut term came around as, it's.
I know it's straighter and wider, but
a little more flared. Yeah, so mine I think the smaller ones are like that medium or large are 8.5 or 9 inches at the bottom. So there's a decent amount there. I tried to make the length 34s. My newer pant is a 34, but it's a little more like a 35. I also did 3 sizes now in 38 length because I had so many people that were, 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", and I always thought of those big people like that as, you know, their body proportions were huge. You know, they're like what we think about as, you know, somebody that plays professional sports, how big those men are. And they're not. They're kind of like, you know, our size, but they just happen to be taller and longer legs. So people are, you know, well, 37 would be good. And, you know, I like 38. You have all these different dimensions that come out. I'm like, well, if I make it long, you can hem it. And that's one of the things that I do different than these other companies too is, you know, if you alter my apparel to fit ergonomics, it's not voiding the warranty of the rest of the stuff that's on there. And that's really important. So a lot of these other companies, and you go like, well, I hem the pant. Well, the warranty's done. You know, me, I look at it as like, I might not necessarily, you know, warranty your hemming work, but I will warranty any other work in there for manufacturer defects and all that other good stuff in there.
That's pretty cool of you to do that.
Yeah, and even like on my new vest that I got coming out, I've got a shock cord take up on there. Some people, they might not need it. And if it's annoying to you, go ahead and cut that sucker out of there. You know, you can just snap the cord, cut the cord and pull it through and be able to cut it out.
Are you talking about the bottom of the pants?
Yeah, the bottom of this new vest design that I got coming out.
Oh, gotcha.
Basically, you know, shock cord.
Yes.
The thing to tighten up your bottom. It's going to ergonomically work great for some people. Other people, you know, it fits them just well. They'll never use it, or they never use it anyways. You don't like it, cut it out of there. It doesn't void the certificate.
I always notice that, you know, because there's always two. There's the one on the left and the one on the right.
Yeah.
And it always finds my damn pocket clip on my freaking knife or my Streamlight on the other side.
Yeah.
I freaking hate that shit.
Yeah, I looked at all the different designs around the market and tried to, you know, I just went, you know, I'll do the KISS rule. I'll just put it where kind of, you know, people are used to having it, and then I'll wait for the feedback. And then people will tell me, you know, because there's a couple of unique ways that a couple other different companies do it, not necessarily hunting companies, but, you know, more outdoor companies. It's just that I'd rather release something, let you tell me where you want a pocket or something, then me put it on there and give it to you. And that was one of the cool things about, you know, being able to listen to Steve Jobs speak a bit, was some of the stories that he'd tell. And you know, you see a lot of stuff online on, you know, he didn't invent the cell phone. He just looked at what everybody loved and what everybody hated, and he just put what people loved into the phone that he made. And then he still was open to feedback and tried to make a little improvement every year.
All right, serious question from Idaho Rogers. He says, how about suspender buttons with reinforcement belts? Or reinforcement, and then pause. Belts are too restrictive climbing in the high country.
Yeah, that should be too.
You could probably sew those on if you had to, right?
Yeah, and this is where it goes back to, you know, altering your apparel for your ergonomics, so your body style and shape, and then on top of that, your style of hunting. If you want to sew in where buttons go so the suspenders can fit on there, you're not voiding your warranty. You're, you know, if it's a, you know, and basically the warranty comes down to, you know, by law, I've got to have X amount of stuff. And most people cover, you know, it's a lifetime warranty on manufacturer's defects. Well, hey, that's great. But you tear a hole through it, or you do something and you believe that, you know, hey, it shouldn't have done that. You told me through your marketing that you could run across the barbed wire fence with this and it would hold up. You showed, there's a great video out there. Somebody's selling pants right now. They got a knife, a tactical knife, and they're running.
I've seen it.
Resistant, and they're shoving it down your throat. But I guarantee we pull out one of our knives and we go ahead and we try that on that pant. We will cut right through that fabric.
Yeah, no shit. I've actually looked at those pants going, I really want to buy a pair just so I can run a knife across.
Oh, that's totally I did. But like putting out a small little things like that would be something that I would have to do a little more feedback, and then I would have to do that manufacturing after the fact, where I would have to put a button or location. And I do like the way some of those manufacturers do have a little bit bigger of a loop in there, so that you can actually hook another ring in there that you can do something on. But call me. You know, get on my site and call me. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what brand you like, why you like it, and I'll see if it's something that I can do in the future.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I don't know if this will come across right, but you are a smaller company, you know, and you have to figure out what's going to sell, and you can't just make tons of things because you don't know if they're going to sell, and then you got stuck with a bunch of shit that didn't work out or something.
It comes down to an American pipeline. I did a color correction test. I'm trying to color correct my fabric for my pattern for the tweed. So I want you, so when you have a Torre jacket, a Fuller shirt, and a tweed pant, that the patterns, the colors are very close to each other, where unless you really study them hard from, you know, the perspective that, you know, I do, or you're really good at colors, they match for your eye. You always wonder why you go to the store and, you know, you look at, you know, this awesome brand. There's a lot of good brands out there for camouflage, and you're looking at their camouflage pattern, Bob. You got a pant, 3 pants, and 3 different jackets of pattern Bob on there, and their grays are different. Their colors are all different. It's like, well, why can't they do that? It's because it's roll-to-roll printing. The white point of every fabric throws that color off, especially in sublimation, and most of those patterns are sublimated because they're plastic. And they are, I've put in color A, B, and C in there, and there's no variation to those colors because those are standard. That fabric white point for every single fabric is different. But I'm making something in America. I ran over to the printer this morning, which is only about 400 yards from my house. I did a print, came back, looked at it, did a color correction, and went over there and had it done. That is the beauty of making stuff in America. I can literally walk over to my, you know, they started a production on the face mask, and I can go over there and say, hey, I need 50 more, and can I get them in blaze orange in my camouflage? And I'm just going to test the market with these. Can you sew these up? Do you have a little bit of time in between your productions or whatever? And they do that. These other people are, their pipeline is a year out.
Yeah.
I feel bad for those companies that are making camouflage business models right now, because all the employees that they are employing for American, you know, for the marketing and their advertising and all the stuff they are spending for the dollars here, that could be delayed because of the way this, you know, global outbreaks happening. And I'm sure their pipelines are going to get jammed up the same way that the shoremen, when they struck, and boats were sitting out there on the docks, and the union wasn't allowing them to be unloaded. You know, some people had delays in their pipeline, and, you know, it was, you know, it's a challenge to their business model. And, you know, I don't look at any camouflage company that I'm competing against. I look at them as like a sports team. I'm competing against them. They're competitors. They're not enemies. They still do a lot for America when they sell their product here because they employ a lot of people. I'm hoping they do. But you can't talk to them. You can't ask them questions because it's, you know, competition. They look at it.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. The one thing we didn't talk about was, and I have one over there, but I can't really pull it out because you can't touch anything, but it's your gun wraps. So I have pictures in the past where I've laid these on the ground and I put the gun on top of it, and you couldn't tell that the gun was even on there.
Yeah, I get a lot of, you know, I don't advertise on Facebook anymore. I stopped last year, and it was frustrating me because they were censoring my photos and stuff, especially their algorithm couldn't pick up my gun because I had my gun.
Yeah. Yeah.
How to, you know, because there's awesome. Millions and millions of pictures, who knows, a minute or whatever. They're relying on, you know, facial recognition, you know, gun recognition. You know, they can run that line on there, go boom, that's a gun. So my stuff would get booted off 5 days later or 4 days later, and you know, halfway through my ad. But the gun wraps are, I call it, it's a poor man's way to camouflage something. And poor man's ways is, you know, it's like if you were to go and have your gun, if you don't have somebody close by and have a hydro dipping, you have to go to a dealer. They have to use their FFL. They charge you a price to send it in the mail to, you know, the dipper person. They dip it, then they have to send it back. And, you know, there's quite an overhead just for that. And I don't know if that overhead is $15 or $50, but in California, it seemed like they wanted to really gouge you on everything, not the gun shop, but the laws did. So the gun wrap was a nice way, you know, for $40, you can get sent this. You can kit bash it like I have on guns or pistols or whatnot. You can wrap your gun. It's fairly straightforward. There's a lot of great videos out there on YouTube on how to camouflage it. I tell people that it's a nice way. I've got quite a few of my guns done with it, and it is not a hydro dip. It does not, you know, hydro dip is just, you know, cool. It looks awesome. It's just, you know, it's neat. This is another way to camouflage your gun that looks absolutely beautiful at 3 or 4 feet away. But when you actually look at it in detail, yeah, it's a big decal sticker kit that goes over it.
Yeah.
And some of the websites out there.
But it matches. The thing is, it matches exactly that. That's what I think about.
Yeah, it matches. I put a little bit of a texture on the two just to kind of give it more like a cloth feel. I put a little undertone onto it, but I do have hydro dipping coming now. I researched for 2 years trying to find made in America filmmakers that make the actual hydro film here in America. It's a roll-to-roll process. You cannot get the saturation doing it printing the way I can do it in, you know, printing versus roll-to-roll in actual sublimation. So the only place I make it is China. So I hooked up with a great company in the United States.
There it is.
Yeah. It's got a little bit.
That's with the light shining directly on it.
Yeah.
But when you're camoed up and you got, like, this is a pellet gun, so it wouldn't be any fun. But like, if I had one of my better guns on there, it'd be sweet. That's why I need a ghillie suit. Aaron, I need my ghillie hat.
Okay, can we get back to hydro dipping, because I'm
Yeah. You want to do that?
Oh, that'd be cool as hell.
Yeah. So I hooked up with a good company in somewhere in the Mississippi Delta region. I'm not going to say the name or anything, but they've got a good pipeline that people they trust. And one of my biggest things is I'm going to give somebody a digital pattern. They're going to take that to Asia. And guess what? I'm going to see my apparel on stuff coming over here from Asia and people selling it. So, you know, I'm being paranoid, but I had to learn to let my guard down a little bit. And, you know, you got to trust some people. So they were supposed to have that done sometime in the fall. And of course, everything kind of got sidetracked here over the last few months. So I just heard back from her a couple weeks ago that they're going to start receiving prints, and that they're going to do the final color correction through the paintwork here in the States. And then they're going to sell that nationally through all the people that they distribute through little small hydro dipping places. So you'll be able to call them up or work with a hydro dipper that's local with you and say, hey, I want Gulch's cross cover camouflage, and these are the people that are selling it. Do you work with them? Can you buy it from them? And they'll buy it. And then they'll do the dipping for you. So I'm really excited about that. I really hate the fact that it's being done overseas, but I exhausted it to the point where there were so many people that want it. And I'm like, well, there's something that is not being made here, roll to roll, the way it should be done to get the opacity and the look. Because when you hold the camouflage hydro dip gun in your hand next to my jacket or any other piece of my apparel, I wanted them so that they are, you know, almost a dead ringer match.
Yeah, identical.
Yeah, and the
That's
gun.
why I don't believe in black rifles, because I like painting the crap out of them so that it breaks the cover up. And
yeah, they say that a black rifle is an assault rifle and it's threatening. You know.
yeah, it's scary.
A black rifle.
That's why you just rattle can it.
Yeah, I was
right there is getting ready to get something on it, either rattle canned or Gulch Gear covered or something.
Yeah, so my little one that I just bought, you know, that I showed you earlier when we were talking without the censorship, that's just a little HK. I love HKs. That's what I carry for my concealed and you know, that guards around the house here, all other hidden guns. But I wanted a little 416 model, their military version, but I really can't justify. I buy a gun, I use it for a purpose, whether it's hunting or for protection. And this is the little remake 22 rimfire in the 416 model. And I got that specifically to have dipped, which I'm going to have dipped as soon as they get that going, just to be able to take it to the trade shows and show people, what the hydro dipping looks like compared to the, next to the actual camel pattern.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's, hey, I'm not going to do it with gloves. I'm not taking those overseas because I know there's somebody in America, and that's the challenge about manufacturing here. There's a lot of great mom and pop shops. They don't run websites. They're in smaller towns. They have a little niche product. I just had a gentleman do a question out to his people. Hey, does anybody make camouflage in America? That's an American company making it on American products and whatnot. And he got led to me, and he called me on the phone. I ended up talking to him. He makes American shoes, these really neat leather kind of stocking shoes. And he bought, a full outfit from me and stuff. But I believe that, he's getting his stuff made up in, a small little factory that nobody really hear about, because there's a lot of people like me. It's like, I want to make a great camouflage company. I want customer serve, the customer first, company second. I want to make it to the point where I'm like in animation. I'm working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, stressing my life away to make a crap load of money. It's not that important. I want to make a comfortable living, and I want to build a small company where I can have my own little sew shop. I can have maybe 5 or 6, 7 employees that are sewers. And it's amazing with that smaller sewers, you can make like 50,000 units in a year. You can offer them your price cheaper because you cut out the middleman. Now I'm not getting my sewing subcontracted. But these little tiny sewers that might make a great little glove, they don't really sell them. They're not really advertised. They're just the sewer for somebody, and they're out there. So if you know somebody that makes gloves and have a lead for me, shoot me an email. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Gloves are important. I noticed that was one of the things. I was basically, for those videos, I was kind of doing this, where I'm holding the rifle, but trying to cover up most of my hand.
Yeah. Yeah, I started sewing gloves, even like the little one that I had. I just went and found a glove and basically just did a knockoff of it. Having the right machines help, but it's definitely a technical skill to do it at the speed to make money at it. And I could make them, but I don't want to sell something that's homemade type thing to people. I want to make sure it's done right, and unless I've got skill to do it, I don't want to sell it and try to pass it off as, pro sewing.
Well, cool. If you guys out in the chat out there, if you got any other questions or comments for Brian, we're at an hour and a half. Not that we can't go any longer, or Daniel as well.
I got to get some dinner on me on this side. I got a German Shepherd that's telling me it's time to eat.
I hear you. All right, well, we'll wrap this up now. Appreciate you showing up, and it was nice to talk to you again for sure. And
it was great seeing you.
I want to see a shirt with that bear on it.
What's that?
I said I want to see a shirt. Do you have a shirt that has the bear and just says Gulch across it yet?
I'm getting to the point where I want to make some, and I think I'm going to do that. And that's one of the things that I wanted to say a quick note on. And like my camouflage, you look at it, you don't see Gulch on my camouflage.
No.
And the reason is you are buying camouflage to conceal. You are not buying my camouflage so you can walk around and be my brand representative. There are caveats to that, though. Just like in Pixar, we used to hide Easter eggs everywhere. There are little bears hidden within my camouflage pattern. And when you're sitting out,
we go have to look for this shit. Asshole.
You can find them. They are, in there. So, but I'd like to get into some branding. Now that I've sold, I've got quite a few people with outfits on. I think I got over 1,000 people now running my gear.
Are you saying there's bears in here?
Oh yeah.
Like full bears or the head? Am I looking at?
See that head behind me? Those are in there.
Holy shit!
In the tan zone. Look for them. They're in there.
Oh, in the tan zone, that helps a lot.
Yeah, but on the new Axial Pattern, they're kind of a little bit everywhere. Hidden, but they're small and they're not meant to. I'm selling. I get the same question on how come you only post pictures? How come there's no dead animals on your website? Everybody else that sells camouflage, they just have kills. And I said, well, I'm in the market to sell concealment. I'm not in the market to sell you dead animals. So I'm not showing you dead animals. I'm showing you how well in each environment.
We'll make your own dead animals.
Yeah, you put this on. I hope that it helps you, be able to get a dead animal. And I get tons of them sent to me, and I don't put them on my website. It's just you know, I'm appreciative that people send them to me. I sell camouflage. That's what I want to be known for, is a great pattern. Patterns are, you know, Ford and Chevy, trying to talk a Chevy guy to get into a Ford all his life's hard. So I'm not a pressure person. It's just, if you like it, try it. If it works for you, that's great. If it doesn't, send it back.
Oh, I see one right there. That's
Find one?
badass. Never seen that before.
I don't know if you can see it on the camera right here, but
right. Oh shit! Where'd it go? That is freaking cool. There it is.
Can you see this one on mine?
See the bear right there, guys? Right there. There's the nose.
Oh yeah, you can see it a little bit there.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Watch. I'll make it so everybody can see this damn thing. All right. So right here, see, oh, wrong hand. Right here is the head. See that bear head? I've had this stuff for 3.5 years and never seen this shit on here ever. You got to be able to see that now.
It's just a slight watermark on there that I think is kind of a way to slow down. You know, how do you know if you got a real Gulch Gear or you know, knocked off somebody that pirated? Look for these little hidden things in there, and it's, you know, we used to do it when I was working for a games or a film studio down in California. We put this little character we had in it. And Sony was the contractor for it, the buyer, and they'd come to our the owner of the company was Foundation Imaging, who I was working with, and you'd be like, guys, will you quit putting this character in here? And then finally Ron came down to us, the owner at the time, and he was like, stop it, please. They catch it every single time we tried to sneak this Easter egg in somewhere, have this goofy character sitting in the background holding a gun doing something dumb. But yeah, those are my little Easter eggs, and I really feel passionate about that. You know, obviously I've got a hang tag with my Gulch stuff on there. That's required by law and whatnot, but you're not going to see Gulch written all over your camouflage. You're buying it to conceal. And the other thing too, that embroidery that they're using on there, that's UV reflective thread. That's embroidery thread. Hit that with a UV light and it glows like a flashlight. I don't know if that matters that much, but it definitely glows.
It matters. It matters big time.
Yeah.
I mean,
and this stuff doesn't have that, is what you're saying.
Yeah, in fact, all my apparel, there's two things that it's got to pass immediately. Other than the stuff coming out of Toray out of Japan, I love their .air, but everything else is it made in America, and can I get it built without optical brightener in it, so it has no UV signature? If it's made in America, it passes. If it cannot be done with optical brightener removed from it, then it fails, because I'm not going to sell you, and I get really weird looks. I go in the Sportsman's Warehouse or Cabela's with a 365 nano UV light that I've got. It's the kind that's throwing off radiation and it can't hurt your eyes. So you find cheap ones out there on eBay. They say that, or on Amazon, they say they are true ones. You really need to get a reputable brand one. I walk into their stores and I sit there and I go through their camouflage, and half of the stuff they're selling you there is glowing so Smurf-like purple blue. It's mind-boggling. And the good companies, though, the good camouflage companies that you are paying top dollars for, their stuff does not glow. I've not come across one of the things. So, you know, I know that, you know, not only do they have a good product, they've got kind of the same philosophies on the quality sewing, the quality no UV. I disagree with their Asian business model.
DW's been wanting one of these camouflage hats forever. And I'm like, I'm not going back to California yet to get one. He's like, then order one, have it shipped. I'm like, oh, I need to go. I have to go there and tell them what logo, and it's a big pain in the ass.
Oh, like embroidered on it?
Yeah.
Logo?
Yeah, I might have to order some of those so I can get them embroidered.
Well,
does it have a bear on it?
What's that?
Does your hat have a bear on it?
No, just the hidden ones. No, I'm selling right now. Like I said, the business model is simple and stupid. It's, you know, shirt, face mask, jacket, pant, trying to conceal, build that brand up. And, you know, a lot of people have been asking. I've had other people that hey, can we put our brand? Can we put our, they've got a little, filming company, and they're trying to do a YouTube and stuff like that. So, hey, can we embroider onto your hat? And you know what? You bought that from me. You own that.
Yeah,
and
do
you
whatever
can
you want.
you would like to honor.
I'm gonna
There
order
it is.
some of those after this. I need to order a couple of those. I got to figure out a way for DW to get a camouflage hat, and I need one of those as well. Is it a Richardson hat?
That's Chinese hat.
Richardson. I don't know. They're
China.
good hats. But it's probably Chinese.
No, one of the biggest frustrations for me.
What hat is that you're wearing? I want an American-made hat.
This is American made in North Carolina by AmeriCap. The components
North Carolina.
are my fabric printed here. The Tory. This is the Tory.air, the same stuff that the Jag and the pants are made out of. The components on the inside are of Asia. It's cut and sewn in North Carolina there. I've been trying to find an all-American factory that does everything, but they want to put brands on it. They want me to put logos on it so they can make more money on the embroidery side of it, because that's where they make a lot of money from it. And I just want a solid camouflage hat. But it took me a long time to find a hat that I liked, that had the profile and the shape that I wanted.
Back. Okay, so it's Velcro or
yeah, it's 3/4 inch Velcro.
Nice.
And then it's got a little bit of structure here, so it's a little bit of interfacing on there. It's not super stiff, but you can embroider around it. The only challenge when you embroidery in the sublimation is, you're stabbing it thousands of times with a sharp needle. Sublimation does not penetrate like dyeing all the way through the fabric. So depends on how the embroiderer is set up, the tension on the machine. If they've got it set up wrong, it can put a little stress on there and want to pull the little pucker point through, and you'll get a little bit of discolor in there. So it's not as nice. Good embroideries can embroider them just fine though.
All right, I guess I gotta go shopping.
Well, I got hopefully some going to be made in the Axial Pattern here coming up in the next 6 months. But with everything kind of shut down and not quite working so well, I don't want to ask a factory to take on a production if they're doing PPE stuff. It's like, I don't know if you guys saw my face mask that I did here. This mask, which is something that I just sewed up really quick just to have fun and make.
You actually put the pattern out so people can make their own. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, so the pattern's out there for this. This is a 3-dart. I just wanted to kind of be like a bank robber going into the it's got 3 darts right here, so it hugs underneath your chin.
That's
and
nice.
Right on your nose here and stops right here. This part right here, there's not a seam line there. Put a seam line there, you get
irritated.
Air flowing through it. You know what I mean? So you got a seam line, you got air. Kind of like, think about water leaking through a seam. So I just wanted to make a pattern, get it out there to people that know how to sew and whatnot, and have that and have some fun. A lot of people asked me if I wanted to make it, and I thought it was very inappropriate to make profit off of misfortune. Even if I were donating all the proceeds to the healthcare workers or whatever, I just don't have the liability insurance, because somebody will buy it out there. They'll think it is a virus filtering thing. They'll end up getting it. And, that responsibility is just one of the things that I can't, as a young, new company, I can't take on that type of responsibility. But it's a cool pattern. If you go to my website, gulchgear.com, go to support. The first thing underneath that is a PPE face mask pattern. Click on that link in there, and then you can print right from there onto your printer and cut out the pattern. And if you got a sewing machine, have fun sewing.
Well, I was looking at that, but that mask actually looks like it would be good for deer and turkey hunting, because it fits the face better. And that way you're not having to mess with the, you know how you got the eyes here and they always kind of get out of whack? That was
Yeah.
leaving the eyes completely clear and just covering the bottom part.
Yeah, and I think two challenges in the design is that it doesn't breathe at all, as far as, you know, because it's right on your face, so it wouldn't work out that well. And it worked wonderful in cooler weather, but then getting that air coming out of you, so I need to be able to, excuse me, put a hole somewhere so you can get a mouth call in, or, you know, if you're a reed caller or whatnot, and then get the nose hot air to escape out, because guys that wear glasses, or if you're supposed to shoot with safety glasses on always, that hot air gets kicked back up in there unless you've got it sealed really tight here, and then it kind of puts a little restriction on your air, you know. So there's some challenges. I do want to make something that is kind of like this, and I'm kicking around the idea of trying to manufacture and have it made and sold, but it's one of those, I can't get sidetracked from kind of the KISS rule of, you know, I'm trying to introduce the zip up hoodie and a new pant with pads, and that'll bring my SKUs up with the 3 colors to, I don't know, like 100 different SKUs. So it's getting a little more challenging to track everything for me, to make sure that I can give everybody the attention that they need for the product that I currently have.
Well, awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
I think this was a good chat. We'll probably do another one sometime in the future, so it'll be cool.
Yeah, like I said, you know, if you got questions or anything like that, you just want to call up and ask, you know, you can call me on my number on the, it's right off Gulch Gear on the support page. Shoot me emails, and I'll try to get back to them as quick as possible. And, you know, negative feedback, people, you know, people tell me how great the camouflage works, and it's neat because it's a fun broken record that I'm hearing. But I really like to hear, you know, if you don't like something, and if you want to be really negative on it, and you're like, oh, this is stupid and blah blah and this and that, you want to trash me on that, that's great too. Why don't you shoot me an email and tell me how I can improve it, and be able to make changes to it, because I don't want to make something that, you know, sucks. And I don't, you know, it's always hard. You know, it's like, I think I talked to you this before, Rick, on shooting a gun, and you get some ammo from Cabela's and you read the reviews on it, and you're like, geez, I don't really know about this ammo. And you got all these negative reviews on there. People are going, this ammo sucks. And they're just terrible. But it's like, why does it suck? It's like, well, a lot of people don't understand. And I learned this, you know, just through learning how to reload, is the barrel doesn't like the ammunition. The vibration is off on there. You know, it's a coal set, it's a, you know, powder, it's a compression, you know, it's all that stuff. I always try to, if somebody really wants to bash me and hit and run, you know, which you're always going to have people that want to pick on you and whatnot, what are you wearing, this or that, and whatnot, you know, throw some criticism out there that's constructive. And, you know, I like to listen to that. You know, I critique for 25 years, and it's still hard for me to accept criticism, just like with anybody else. But if you're not made self-aware of some things that I'm doing or whatnot that you don't like, I can't improve a product and make it better for you. And I guarantee you I can do it a lot better than the Asian business model companies that are out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Any last words, Danielle?
Danielle's my sister. Hi, I'm Daniel, and this is my sister Danielle and her husband Dan. Yeah, true story. Oh, thanks for having me on here, and Brian. Hey, this stuff's working great for me. The whole thing about no straight lines, no UV reflection, that is Parmont right there. And the
Awesome.
patterns, I mean, I've fixed the dumb review. I made it public again, where you can see the different lights and the different backgrounds where I'm standing, and I shoot the arrow, and you got to try to spot me before I hit you with the arrow. So
Yeah.
it's just a fun video.
Well, I always tell people, I got a guy that just got some of my stuff, and I gave my like pro staff or so-called people that test my stuff, or just people who literally call me up on the phone. I have great conversation with them. I like the way they hunt. I like the way they think. And a guy just got some of my stuff out of the blue, and he went around and he wanted to take pictures of it. And he wanted to ask me, he's like, you know, hey, I know you're really particular about your colors and the way things look and all that fun stuff. And you know, do you want to look at these first? And I'm like, no, the most important thing is when somebody talks to you, you paid for my stuff, you got a discount. you pay for your stuff, and the photos you put on there are the way you saw it and the way you took them and the way they really look, no matter what they look like. That's that open, honest marketing that I love to see is just the truth. You know, this is not a BS product. It's for real. And you know, some people look at it like, I love it. Other people look at it, it sucks. It looks like a topo map. I would never wear it. Blah blah blah. And it's like, that's perfect fine. You know, it's not for you then. So I just, you know, think that, you know, people that write a review and they sit and talk to me like, oh, it's kind of be harsh or negative on him on that. You know, if you want to edit it to, you know, the way you said it's the way you felt, and I think that's great.
Oh, and when I put this stuff on, it gives it a slimming effect. It takes 40 pounds off of me.
Awesome.
Yeah, these guys are all busting me up about getting some hats done. All right.
Cool. Okay, guys. Thank you very much for having me on here. I really appreciate it. Take care in the Midwest and take care over there on the East Coast and be safe.
I appreciate it. You too. Stay safe, everybody. Have a good night.
Okay, take care.
Bye.